was very specialized in what he did, because he basically, for what he had to do, he had to go around the arena, and no walking apparently is necessary in that class. Like standing still, I was surprised. Like standing still and is okay instead of walking, and then beautiful different big trots, and then galloping. And so he was just kind of, if any horse does any one thing a lot, they get really, programmed to do that one thing. And they almost get to the point where either they get really scared while they're doing it, or they get almost dominant while they're doing it. I'm going to hurry up and do my thing, and then you put me away in my stall. And I don't know if either one of those things were Norm's case. Whenever Vicki can come back, she can tell us more about him. And I got really excited when Vicki started telling me about her horses, because I love energetic horses. That's like my favorite deal. Horses that want to go. I also love horses that want to stop. I had never experienced that until I owned a quarter horse and started playing with a lot of quarter horses, because I had grown up with jumpers. And so each, if you look at the range of horsenalities, just like people. So there's extroverted horses, or horses that want to move their feet. It's really easy to move their feet. And there's introverted horses, or horses that you kind of have to push to move their feet. Yes, Teresa's like, that's my horse. So that can divide horses up into two different categories. And then you can also divide horses up into an additional two different categories. Horses that are generally confident or calculating, and sometimes it's called left brain. Okay, I like to think of left brain as logical or thinking. L and L, I can remember that. And right brain horses who look afraid or scared or reactive or obedient. Right brain horses are very obedient when they trust you. So, Vicki, can you tell us a little bit about Norm?
Norm is 3-time world champion.
In
Park.
Park. Yeah, okay, that's right.
And he has shown, he's won at the top of the circuits.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, he went into training as a 1-year-old, and then he's 13 now.
Mm-hmm.
So for the past year and a half, he hasn't done any showing, and we've just been doing, relationship based horsemanship with him. Let's see, he's probably a left brain extrovert.
I think you're absolutely right. You got that one nailed.
He's very big, and we've done all kinds of things. We've been working on his body. He now actually has no shoes, and he's kind of learning what it's like to be a horse.
And what made you want to do this, Vicki? Like, what? You were doing fine, right?
Well, you know what? When we were a professional saddlebred show barn, but I wasn't getting enough time with my horses. And so I decided that, Mark and I both decided that I needed to spend less time in the office and more time with my horses. And so I really wanted a relationship with Norman.
Mm-hmm.
Little did I know what all it would take. But it's been, and the same with all the other horses, but it's just been such a rewarding journey, to see what his personality is like, and he's gotten so much more muscled up and much healthier, and, everything I've been learning with him, I can apply to the rest of the horses, and I really feel like I'm becoming a much more competent horse person,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a great relationship with the horses most days, and we're gonna still be in the show ring, but it's gonna be a lot different.
Mhm.
You know, we're gonna have a relationship, and we'll be able to speak a little clearer and have better communication. So I'm excited.
I think that's really beautiful, and I think if I can say this, Norman, you're being very funny right now. I see that. We didn't do that last time. We're doing it now. When you said that you wanted a better relationship with Norman and you wanted to communicate better, I mean, that's really what I see as there's training horses. You can train horse. It's not bad horse training. It's very cool. And patterning. But then there's also really like understanding what they're trying to say. Let's say I'm trying to do something with a horse, and why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they performing it? Are they afraid? Are they don't understand, or they just don't feel like it, or they don't know what's in it for them? You know, why aren't they doing that behavior? So it's, to me, yes, I can. It's great that I can push and pull and wiggle the rope and flap the stick into getting the horse to do something. But even better, if I can motivate the horse to want to do what I'm asking them to do. And so when Vicki said that she wanted better communication with Norman, I think that was really, that's what I'm looking for all the time, is better communication. You're very good at that, Norman. So I didn't plan anything in particular. I was just going to do some things and explain some where we're at right now. And you guys can ask some questions if you like. Good boy. So Norman, in general, I mean, he's a very confident horse, actually. He likes to explore and touch things and pick them up. And he likes to show off, which, I mean, with a body like that, why wouldn't you? So he can be a challenging horse in a lot of ways because he thinks a lot of things are too easy for him. And so if you don't physically challenge him, he will, and mentally challenge him, he'll get bored and he'll make up his own games, which is, you know, it can be dangerous or naughty or whatever. So just like personally, I'm ecstatic because Norman came here and stood still. Because that's not a quality that Norman used to do, from what I gathered. And he stood still and he was calm and relaxed. And so something that I talk to my students a lot, very good, excellent, Norm, is using your energy. So Norm felt immediately when I looked at him and I focused at him. So way to think about energy is like, you know, when you're about to give a speech and you get really excited, you know, and you like step in front of the crowd and like you feel, wow, all these butterflies in your stomach. Well, that's energy. And oftentimes it's not just yours. It's the energy of all the people out there too. They're all excited. They're here to learn something. And if you can teach that energy to fly, those butterflies to fly in formation, it's so powerful. And so when I play with the horse, focusing your energy and your intention, they will read your mind. You don't need no rope or stick. If you have a really clear picture in your mind, your horse will read it. So how I play with energy is, right now, I feel like, very good, Norm. I feel like I'm letting all my energy out into the ground. And Norman touched the ground with his nose. And what that means in horse language is that he's grounding himself. Whenever a horse's head is up really high, they're not grounded. They're thinking far. They're thinking about probably going to move. When their horse's head goes down, they're grounding their energy. So before I do anything and ask Norman to do something, I'm going to breathe in. My energy, my chi is in here. And then I'm going to look at Norman. Good. And you see, he knows, he feels something is going to happen. Shh. So then I can use my energy. Good. Shh. Now I also teach my horses verbal cues. Shh. Okay. So what Norman said was he's a little unconfident of backing toward that thing. And so that's okay. We can go over here. Now, does that mean we'll never back toward that thing? No. It just meant he was unconfident about it. Shh, shh, shh. Very good, Norm. Shh. Excellent. Because you could have said that was a disobedient. That horse did not back up when you told him to. But did you see what he did? He turned around, he looked at the thing. He said, well, where is that? I don't know. Because horses have horrible distance. They can't tell how far things away are very easily. Okay? They have horrible depth perception. And they have to learn that. And they learn that by putting all this junk in the arena. And then they figure out, okay, they practice. How far is the wall? How far is the pole? Humans have excellent depth perception because their eyes are very close on either side. Horses have their eyes on either side of their head, so they can see all the way almost around them, but they have horrible depth perception. That's why if you're riding a horse, they might jump a pole really big or a little puddle. They don't want to cross it because they can't tell. So now, will it eventually be my goal to back Norman up to that object? Yes. But I will never do it in a way that will sacrifice his relationship with me. I won't force him to do something that he's worried about. I will give him the steps, the tools, to become more confident. Right, Norman? Yes, by trying to understand what he's saying. So now, you can move a horse in generally two different ways. You can move them through your energy by not touching them, or you can move them by touching them. So I'm going to focus on a path here around these cones. I want Norman to start weaving these cones. So I'm going to look between me and the cone. Now I'm going to look on the outside of that cone. Good, Norman. I'm going to look between me and the cone. I'm going to look to the outside of that cone. And now I'm going to look at the ground between Norman and me. And now I'm looking at my hand. And he touched it. Give him a round of applause, don't you guys think? That's fabulous, Norm. Here, can you help me train Norman one more time? I want you to start clapping softly. Can everyone start clapping softly? And stop. Perfect. Did you see him lick and chew a little bit and he blinked his eyes? And this is so important that he learns this because when he goes in the show ring, I don't want all the crowd clapping to freak him out. I want him to actually yeah, they're clapping for me. So the reason I did that little, the natives are getting restless. That seems like a boring little demo, right? Like, horse just walked around cones, boring. Did you see me do hardly anything? So what you should think about is, wow, oh my gosh, I didn't know how closely they could feel my focus, even if it was all the way at the end of the rope. Now, what if you had that kind of feeling when you were riding? What if you could just look and your horse went? You didn't even have to use your arms or your legs or your body. Yeah, it's great to know how to put your leg here and move your hand there. That's great. My favorite thing is I just think it and my horse does it. That's the ultimate. All right.
From, in the ring to this kind of behavior with him. Because he used to be a little more, a little more extra.
A little more extra. I think that's an understatement.
This has been like working consistently since July of 2017. So, year and a half, almost 2 years.
I mean, he's such a different horse. It's amazing.
Yeah, isn't he? Yeah.
So you know Norm.
What?
Okay, cool. So this is even cooler watching this. Come here, Norm. But, that doesn't mean, oh, it's very nice, Norman. So I'm excited that he started backing up toward that cone because he didn't know exactly where that was. And so I take that as a great offer. Now let's just do a little experiment. I want to see if I ask him to back up one more step. You're doing great. Good boy. That wasn't too bad. I'm going to see if I can back him up. No, he's going to, very good, Norman. That was amazing, Norman. Really? I will come with it shortly here. Very good. He'll set it back up too. So Norman's learned, first they get confidence with their nose. Have you guys ever seen a horse, like, they'll cross a bridge, but they do it really fast? Yeah. Okay, that's pretty fancy. It's very good. Good. So I whistled because I don't want him always touching me for a cookie, so he only gets a cookie when he, after he hears that noise. So now I'm going to ask him to touch it with his foot. Oh, good boy. Now look at this. This is pretty cool. I know you guys think that's stupid. He just walked by it. Look at how close his hind foot is to it right now. He's experimenting. Before he was very sure about backing around. He didn't want to be anywhere near that and touch his hind foot. Horses are like us. We're way more coordinated with our hands than our feet, unless you're a dancer or you take time really doing that. So if I want this, I picture Norman doing amazing Spanish walk and flying lead changes and pirouettes and all that because he's super athletic. He could do that. But he has to learn the basic two-step before that. And part of this, good boy. And so his adrenaline was up just a tiny little bit. And now it finally came down. Good boy. And the basic two-step is just getting more coordinated and confident with his hind feet. Good job, Norman. I don't know if you've ever ridden a horse or seen a horse that touches something with their back feet or won't touch it with their back feet, right? Good boy, Norman. So let's see. And at this point, I don't really care. I don't care if he sideways is over it or what. Good. But I'm going to just send him. Good job, Norman. And the more he touches it with his nose, it's like us touching it with our hands. We just get more confident. Good, Norman. Very good. And that means what? Good boy. Good boy. He's like, it's something. Very good, Norman. Wow. You put it on your foot. That's awesome. Good boy. Because I want him to experiment with things. I want him to be okay. Because I know a horse that'll experiment with things. If he accidentally knocks that thing over when I'm riding, I'm not going to get bucked off. All right, Norman, let's try something else. So now I'm going to ask him to trot. Now, horses, their weight in the walk is on the front end. Good boy. Their weight on the walk is on the front end. Their weight in the trot is where, Teresa? Ooh, pretty good. Jerusha jumped in there for you. Their weight in the trot is in the middle. So as I ask him to walk here, I'm actually going to pretend like I'm riding. Okay, so my weight is actually a little bit, I'm not leaning over, but my weight is going to be a little bit on the front end. When I want him to trot, I'm going to shift my weight to the middle. And if I need to, there you got it. See, I barely had to use my stick. Didn't even have to use my voice. Now I'm focusing. He's like, did you guys see that? I'm going to focus on the outside of these cones. Good boy. Isn't it fancy? He's like making, oh, he's going to poop right in front of you guys. He feels that comfortable with you. Take it as a compliment. I take everything as a compliment. Now, very good, Norman. So now I'm going to start steering it. I'm going to look between the cone. I'm going to look, and this one's kind of hard. Sometimes I don't set those up very good. Good job. You did great. Go ahead and trot. Thank you. Very good. Good boy. Let's make that one. That one's hard. That one's hard. Brilliant. Oh, you stepped on your rope. No problem, though. Give him a hand, you guys. Don't you think that was amazing? Now, that was better expression on his face, wasn't it? His head didn't get, when you guys clapped, his head didn't get as high. Brilliant, Norm. Now, I'm going to do something terrifying to many horse people, okay? I'm going to leave my rope on the ground. Because I know, you're okay, you stay. I know, you're okay, you stay. Even with all the predators here, you're going to be fine. Yeah, it's true. Good. Stay. Good. So, even with, I know that there's going to be a day. One more. Good boy. Good. You stay with your rope. I know there's going to be a day when one day that rein is going to be on the ground, right? And he's going to step on it. And the last thing I want him to do is run away in a show, dragging a rope, freak all the other horses out, hurt all the people that are there. And so if I can teach him in a situation like this where it's safe, right? Okay. And notice I'm standing over here between you and the horse. Okay, so I'm actually, he's like, oh, I forgot my rope. I'm actually protecting you guys, in his mind, from the rope. That was good. You have to stay, though. I appreciate that you want to come in. But this is a really important skill that he learns to stay there. Excellent. And I love the fact that he stepped on his rope and he didn't freak out. Now, because Norman's been practicing his trot a lot, actually. Good boy. I'm picking on you because you're getting good. Very, very good. So that, bless you, that trot around here, it looked really light and easy. Like I wasn't having to wing my rope around or use a lot my stick. That meant that I was riding, just imagine how light the rein would be. That was not how he used to trot. Does that mean it's bad to extend a trot? Gosh, no. What's bad is not to be able to collect the trot. So that little prancy trot that Norman was doing, it's if I can steer him just by looking or just by sending a little energy down the rope, I know for sure it'd be really fun to ride. And I wouldn't feel like I was being drug around. Good boy. Now we're going to do a few little changes of direction, Norman. Are you ready? Who's ever seen a horse just kind of tear around on the lunge line and it's like hard to stop them? Jesse. So, you know, how do you get them to that point? Great, Farrah, that they'll do that. How do you get there? One of the easiest things that you can do is teach a horse to do a change of direction on a circle. Because every time they do a change of direction, they have to shift their weight back, and they have to shift it to the new inside hind leg. Other than the more that they go around in a circle without any sort of transitions, they can end up like falling and falling and falling more and more on their forehand. But if you do lots of change of directions, or even this little fun thing here, they have to shift their weight left to right, forward to backward. They really like watching people in that room. So let's see if we can do a few change of directions here, Norm. Good boy. You're right, my focus was not clear. All right, so I'm going to switch a stick underneath the rope. Very good, Norm. And I'm going to send him back out. I'm going to look to the outside of that cone. Very good, Norm. We switch the stick. Now if he comes in, very good, thank you. And I'm going to do this a little bit further away from you guys so we don't spit shavings at you. Good boy. Let's see if we can take it up to a trot. Good, we'll wait for this. Switch the rope. Good. Good boy. Very good, Nora. Good boy. And I don't care if he walks every time he comes around this corner or stops, because every time he makes a transition like that, he's shifting his weight back to his hindquarters. He's shifting the weight from the inside to the outside. Good boy. Very good. Very, very good, Norman. One more. Thank you. Oh, you're so smart. Very good. Okay, you can clap now. Very good, Norman. So keep clapping. Now stop. You see he put his head down, right? Thanks for being my audience on cue. I appreciate it. Good boy. Did you guys see the weight shift? Left to right, forward to backward? So I used to, I wrote a lot of dressage tests. And one of my hardest parts of the dressage test was a downward transition. I would get like 7s and 8s and 9s on my upward transition. They were spot on, right at the letter. My downwards were horrible. And I finally figured out why. Because I never praised my horse for going slower. I was always like, oh, maintain gait, keep going. And so I actually made my horse fearful to slow down. And when I first heard that concept of like, really? You can come over here if you want. Really? You're going to pet your horse for like breaking gait? And when I started doing that, my horses started figuring out, there's something different. There's something in between running really fast on your front end and walking. If I gave them permission, it's okay. If you get unbalanced, just walk for a second. Get your balance back. Then go back to the trot. Then pretty soon they were able to continue that trot, only it was a balanced trot. So, little nugget for you, because I struggled with it so much. So who's ever, you're very good, Norman. Who's ever here ever wanted to do like side pass their horse over a log, or do shoulder in or leg yield or anything like that? You guys heard that? Lead changes? Yes. Yes, me. So one of the easiest ways to start teaching your horse to do those things is on the ground. So I'm actually just going to use this wall, and actually the other one will be better. So a leg yield is 45 degrees. It's way better than last time, huh, Teresa? Vicky's been working on it. Norman says, what am I supposed to do with this log when I get up to it? You know what? I'll let you be creative, Norm. You figure out a way that you're going to get around that log, okay? Good job. He's going to knock it over, good boy. And who's ever been riding at a show and their horse was absolutely terrified of the boogeyman corner? Have you ever had that problem? So what if you got to the show and you had your horse go sideways all the way around the arena, and every time you got to the boogeyman corner, you let them stop and relax? And this one is convenient because it has hay in it. Good boy. Very, very good. Because a horse like Norman, he can trot straight forever. Literally, trot straight forever. But once you start putting a little bit of lateral into it, a little bit of shoulder in or shoulder out, or thanks for putting that hay there, Jesse. That was a good idea. He gets pretty tired pretty quick. He's going to show off his ball skills here pretty soon. Now, what you might say at first is, here, no, that's my ball for the moment. That's my ball. He likes to play with the ball. It's very dramatic. What you might say at first is, well, don't you want the horse to go 90 degrees sideways? 90 degrees is really useful. Thank you. I'm going to keep it over here. 90 degrees is really useful for flexibility and obedience, but it's not actually very engaging. Engagement means when the horse steps their hind foot toward their front foot. So the ultimate forms of engagement are like piaffe and passage and lead changes. Can you guys see all 4 tracks? Can you see all 4 feet? The tracks are when you see all of those feet separately. And I know that's a leg yield then if I see 4 feet. Okay, Norm, that's good. Yes?
Is their nose supposed to be bent towards you when you're doing this, generally speaking?
Their nose, that's a very good question. The more confident he is about where he's going and the less he worries about me, he'll actually start kind of looking in the direction, and that would make it a haunches in. If I'm worried about the horse pulling away from me, and technically for a shoulder out or a leg yield, his nose would be bent toward the rail. But it's actually technically more difficult if his nose is bent away from me, because it would actually be like a haunches in. So good question. All right. You ready, Norm? Let's go this way. So now we're going to do some transitions. Good. Vicky's been practicing this. I'm just showing what she's been doing. Good. So who's ever ridden a horse? I know you're super fancy, Norm. Here, go eat hay, buddy. Good boy. Who's ever ridden a horse and when you've asked for a trot, they threw their head in the air? Yes. Do you know why they do that? Teresa, you don't know? Don't know? Nobody knows? They throw their head in the air because they started the trot with a front foot first. When it's nice and beautiful and they get round in the transitions, because they start the trot with a hind foot first. So all these little laterals that we're doing, this little leg yield, very good. These little leg yield, these sideways, these shoulder in, all these little lateral maneuvers, they're just there to help start the trot or the walk or whatever gait you're doing. Good boy, Norm. You found some ice cubes. with the hind foot first. So we'll do a little bit here. And when I do this, I want to be far enough away that if he kicks out from excitement or whatever reason, playfulness or naughtiness, whatever it might be, I'm not going to get whacked in the head as I do it. He almost has a gait doing that. Good boy, Norm. You ready? Go this way. Good boy. Very good. Did you guys see how he actually got more round in the transition? And do you see how Norm is actually offering vertical flexion without any side reins? Just because he's in a little bit of a lateral maneuver. His nose is a little bit bent to the inside. Now it's here bent to the outside. So if it's bent to the outside, I'm going to wiggle my rope toward his shoulder. And see how his shoulder got pushed out and his nose came in. Good boy. Very good. Good. Ready? Trot. Very good. Good boy. Now if I want him to lengthen the trot, go, Norm. Oh, very good, Norm. Good. Now I'm going to collect the trot. That was fancy, Norm. He's like, you've never asked me to go faster. You always want me to slow down. Now I'm going to ask him to collect the trot. And it's like a little shoulder in maneuver. Norman, you are perfect. And what I loved about that is I stopped my feet and he stopped his feet exactly at the same time. And that's how I know we're connected, huh? So that lateral movement that we did on the side, we did a little leg yield or a little shoulder out. Then we took that to the circle. And if you couldn't see it as I was moving, I'll show you at the standstill. You ready, Norm? So I can ask his shoulder to go over. And then his middle. Take your time. Very, very good. And that becomes a leg yield in the circle. Very, very good. You're doing great. I can make it a shoulder in by aligning the inside hind with the outside front. And if this is like hurting your brain right now, don't worry about it. I got a chart to explain it all if you want to see it. But for those of you who know a lot, it might be intriguing. So by asking for that little bit of lateral maneuver in the gait, whatever it is, and I can do that while riding. You can do it on the ground, but you can do it while riding too. That's how I'm going to get smooth transitions. And that works for upward as well as downward transitions. Good boy. So to show you a transition, are you ready? Shh, shh, shh. I like how he's asking so many questions. You're being very polite, Norm. Ready? So I'm going to ask for an upward transition. Change my body. Good. Now I'm going to ask for a downward transition. Shift my weight to the forehand. Ask for a little bit of sideways. And now he stopped instead, but that's okay. I'd rather have him. You want a cookie? Yeah. You've done so many things and you haven't gotten a cookie yet. Good. I love the way he's walking, stretched and relaxed. Good boy, Norm. Let's do one more thing. I'm going to ask him up to a canter. So, very good. So when horses canter, Canter is crooked, right? You're either in the right lead or the left lead. And it's a 3-beat gait. And where's the weight in canter? Yeah, that is a girl, Teresa, on the hind end. So when I ask him to canter, I actually have to do the same thing in my body. If I do this, if I put my weight on my hind leg and I lift up my hand, he's actually, that means, look, canter in your right lead. I can even ask my horse to canter in the left lead, going right, if I want to, just by doing exactly in my body what I want my horse to do in their body. And that's not just on the ground. That'll apply to riding, I swear to you. You ready, Norm? Shh, shh, shh. So we'll see about the canter now. Thank you. I'm down here so I don't throw stuff at you guys. Now Norm is learning to have a better canter. He's doing quite nicely, actually. Now that we got a nice trot. So now when he goes, I'm going to ask him when he goes into the corner here the next time by the ball, I'm going to give him plenty of warning, and I'm going to only use the stick if he doesn't understand. Good, Norm. Norman! Amazing.
That was one of the nicest canters.
What were you going to say, Teresa?
That was like one of the nicest canters I've ever seen out of him.
Yeah, it was in the gallop.
I know, but just from last clinic to this clinic.
What did you see? Why did you know it was a nice canter, Teresa? What did you see?
It was just very rhythmic and smooth. Like it was just, and it wasn't rushing, and he wasn't like fumbling. And
Didn't he have a beautiful posture while he was doing it? Like the flexion in his body? And did you see how I was not pulling on the rope?
no, I was videotaping it.
That's okay. If a horse pulls on the rope, where is their weight? Front or back? It's always on the front end. If your horse is pulling on the rope, you know the weight's on the front end. If the horse is not pulling on the rope, the weight is on the hindquarters. That was actually the first canter he's ever done that I thought, oh, I could ride that.
I was thinking that looked rideable.
And I'm not afraid. I can ride a lot of canters, but I don't like riding poopy canters. I'm just a snob like that. Let's try once more the other way, buddy, and then I think that was your hard side, Norm. Wow. You ready? Good. I appreciate you. Ready? You're doing great. You can do it. Good. Go trot. Yes, sir. Very, very good. You're doing beautiful. Very good, Norm. Very good, Norm. Excellent, Norm. Now this is his harder side, actually, because he's pulling a little bit more. Good. Excellent, Norman. Oh, wow. All right, and the crowd goes wild. Yeah. Very. Oh, he didn't even raise his head that time. Norman, you're amazing. Good boy. I know, it's pretty exciting. He's like, I'm amazing. Did you guys see what I did? All right, why don't you go on that thing? Chill out for a second. Good. Could you guys see his adrenaline got up a little bit doing that? But his brain was like, I must pay attention. I'm doing the best I can. Very good. Can you do the hind legs too? Yes. Try again. I'm not always going to be here to save you. Good job. Oh, wow. Try one more time. You see how much more confident he is with his front feet than his back feet? Good boy. Yes. Thank you. Very good. Oh, yes, Norman, do it. Very good. Right. So you have to amuse me. So this is my favorite part of the whole thing. Good boy. And I'm totally pleased with that. I might pick on this a little bit. Can you do that one hind foot one more time? And I want you to think about it, because everyone, yes, that knows me well knows what I'm going to ask. But it's my favorite part because I don't know a lot of you, and I know some of you really well. But some of you I don't know. And I would love to understand if there was something interesting or useful to you tonight that you learned or you just enjoyed watching. I would love to hear it. Yes.
You were talking about how you like ground with your energy, and then how when they trot, you're back a little bit on your feet and forward on just the walk. That made so much of life make sense.
Really? Great. Because if you're like me, I never thought about like, what? Really? Did they really watch you that close?
Yep.
They do. Great. I'm glad that was useful for you. Anyone else? Did anyone else enjoy this?
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah? What did you like? What was one of your...
As I told you about the work I do, so it's all about connection with the horse. So seeing you explain it and then watching him watch you and react to that, so it's reaffirming to what I do, so it's nice.
Perfect. It's so... Energy is like this weird concept, right? We can talk about it, but what is it really? But horses are... Suck on that cone for a little while.
I just like seeing how happy he is now. Like he is really happy, so it makes me feel good.
Oh, hey, Vicky.
I'm so proud of this guy.
Yeah.
He's come so far, from where he was to where he is now. That he's like a completely different horse.
Yep.
And it's just in every cell in his body, it's different. So.
You happy, Norm?
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like gorgeous on a whole new level. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
His whole soul, I think. I don't hardly know you, Norm. But awesome. Thank you for that. Anyone else, something you learned or enjoyed watching was meaningful to you?
Just the picturing what you want in your mind. And to me, that's a positive thing too. You're not picturing bad things happening. You're picturing positive things, and you're being self-aware and being aware of the horse.
Thank you. And what was your name? I didn't get to meet you yet.
I'm Jolie.
Jolie? It's nice to meet you. And thank you. If you have that vision of what you want, what you want them to do. I mean, they really understand. You wanted the cone over there. They understand really, really clearly. You want under your belly? Okay. If we can picture what we want, they are more than happy to comply, I feel like. But we have to know what we want. And there's a process of learning, okay? I played with a rope and a stick before. This was not my first night. And when you go home and try to learn to do that, there's going to be a process where you're like, this stupid rope and stick, and it's not doing what I want. But you're going to get through that if you stick with it. And then it's just going to be an extension of your body. And you're just going to feel like anything you think is just going to flow from your body right onto that rope. Who's ever heard the word contact, like when you're riding, having a contact? Yes. Now, what if I said contact can be whatever weight that you want? So if you just want a loop in the rein, that could be contact. Or if you want 2 ounces in your hands, that can be contact. Or if you want 50 pounds in your hands, whatever you want, If you picture that, the horse will do it for you. So when I play with this rope with the horse, I'm saying, what contact do I want right now? Do I want to be able to play at liberty? And that means I want the rope on the ground. Or do I want to be able to, like here, I was actually kind of pushing him with the rope. I was pulling and pushing, and he could feel that. I didn't even need the stake. So I was teaching him, this is what I want to feel in my hand when I'm riding. I want to feel it like be this light. Polite, but that there is a contact. And that it's that important when you play with them on the ground, because that's exactly the contact they're going to offer you when you're riding. So thank you, Jolie. That was a great comment. Cool. Anyone else? Oh, yes.
So the shoulder, the wiggle the rope towards the shoulders to get them. It was to get them to the shoulders in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because I'm pushing the shoulder out, and it also brings the head in at the same time. A sideways wiggle. An up and down wiggle will push the nose out, because it'll create a wall toward the nose. See how I push the nose out? Okay. Versus if I wiggle the rope toward the shoulder, you see how he bends his nose toward me. It's not just a crazy coincidence, and they're super sensitive.
And the pulling on the rope, like around their forehead.
Very cool. And you could see in the canter, like to the right, he was pulling on the rope more. To the left, it was a lot lighter. It was a lot easier for him. So that what I would think was, okay, he's getting, thanks, Norm. He's getting really, like the left lead, that looks great. That looks rideable. The right lead, I'm going to still play with that some more to get it lighter and more steerable. When I can do a change of direction at the canter and he's just floating and he trots and he comes out, or even does a flying lead change and it feels like nothing in my rope, man, just imagine what it's going to feel like when I'm riding. All right. Well, thank you so much for putting up with me. Blab. I hope you got to see Norm do enough amazing things to satisfy your trip. He's pretty awesome. You're very good, Norm. Yes.